The night sky above Olympus churned with restless clouds, each rumble of thunder echoing like a heartbeat of a world on the verge of awakening. From a highest throne room, Zeus gazed into the horizon, his silver hair shimmering in the glow of lightning. His eyes, sharp and restless, pierced through the veils of storm as if seeking an answer the heavens themselves refused to yield. For days they felt a tremor beneath the earth, subtle but insistent, like the slow grind of chains breaking far below. The Titan stirred. The prison carved in the dawn of ages was weakening. Around him, the hall of Olympus gleamed with marble pillars, each etched with the victories of the gods. Yet tonight, the grandeur fell hollow, its silence fractured by the whisper of unease. Hera, cloaked in violet silk, stood by the throne, her amber eyes narrowed. "You feel it too," she said softly, her voice smooth as the blade of a dagger. The bonds of Tartarus strained. Kronos is not forgotten. Zeus clenched the shaft of his lightning spear, the crackle of energy flashing across the chamber. Forgotten? No, but buried. Their age ended, their dominion shattered. They cannot rise again. Cannot. Hera tilted her head, or will not remain broken if fate wills otherwise. The doors of the hall opened with a groan, and Athena stepped forward, her bronze armor glinting with the glow of torches. Her expression was grave, eyes sharp as tempered steel. "Father, the oracles speak of tremors across the mortal lands. Crops wither in soil once fertile. Storms strike without cause, and men whisper of ancient shadows returning. If mortals lose faith, your power weakens." She bowed slightly, though her tone carried defiance. "We must act before fear becomes rebellion." Poseidon entered next, trident in hand, salt water dripping from his sea-blue cloak. His booming voice filled the chamber. "The seas grow violent, brother. Tides rise where no winds call them. My domain is restless. This is no accident." The Titans claw at their cage, and the world quakes with their hunger. Zeus turned from them, staring into the storm beyond Olympus. For centuries they had ruled unchallenged. Humanity flourished under their watch. Fields of golden grain, temples reaching skyward, sacrifices burning with devotion. But devotion was fragile as the earth that trembled beneath. "Let them quake," Zeus muttered. "If Kronos dares rise, I will strike him down again." In the mortal world, far below, the tremors were no myth. The village of Theron lay at the edge of vast forests, its people simple hunters and farmers. Among them lived Lycaon, a young hunter with hair as dark as midnight and eyes bright with stubborn resolve. On this night, he stood by the river's edge, bow in hand, watching the sky tear open with flashes of lightning. His father had spoken often of the gods, beings of power who shaped the earth and shielded men from chaos. Yet as he gazed upward, doubt stirred in his chest. If the gods were protectors, why did the ground shake beneath their homes? Why did the river flood and swallow the crops? A sudden roar shattered the stillness. The earth split near the forest, spraying soil and stone. Lycaon stumbled back as a fissure opened, glowing faintly with a molten light. From its depths came a whisper, low and terrible, like a voice speaking through endless stone. Though no mortal tongue could understand, Lycaon felt its meaning resonate within his bones. "Rise, break the chains. The world shall be ours again." He dropped his bow, trembling, back in Olympus. Hades emerged from the shadows, his black cloak trailing mist like smoke from a dying pyre. His crimson eyes burned with quiet certainty. "The underworld groans, brother. The walls of Tartarus weaken. I hear their voices in the dark, echoing through the caverns where they lie. Kronos calls to his children, and they answer. We cannot blind ourselves to what is coming." For a long moment Zeus said nothing. The gods stood in silence, the air between them thick with tension. Hera's gaze never left him, calm yet sharp, as though daring him to ignore the truth. Finally Zeus raised his hand, lightning crackling at his fingertips. "If they rise, then let them face the fury of Olympus. I banished them once. I will do so again." Athena stepped forward, voice urgent. "Pride is not enough. Father, strategy must guide us, or the war will consume gods and mortals alike." Zeus turned on her, his voice booming like thunder. You question me? I counsel you. Athena replied evenly, though the chamber trembled with his anger. Hera placed a hand on Zeus's arm, restraining his fury. Enough. Let her speak. We are not blind conquerors. We are rulers, and rulers must listen, even when their pride resists. Silence fell, broken only by the echo of thunder outside. The gods knew the truth. They were standing at the edge of a storm not of their making. Far below, in the world of men, Lycaon and countless others felt the earth shake, unaware that destiny was weaving them into a war between beings older than time itself. In the darkness beneath the world, deeper than Tartarus, chains groaned and stone cracked. A colossal figure stirred, his body like fractured mountains, his eyes burning gold through the shadows. Kronos lifted his head, the luster of his broken crown glinting faintly in the abyss. His voice rumbled to the caverns, shaking the very core of the earth. Children of the sky, the hour approaches. The gods grow weak, drunk on their thrones and blind with arrogance. Their time ends. Rise, my kin. Rise and reclaim what was stolen. Let the heavens tremble, and let the world remember the name of the Titans. Above, Zeus felt the echo of that voice and tightened his grip on the spear. In the mortal realm, Lycaon clutched his chest, heart pounding as if something ancient had awoken within him. The storm raged, the earth shook, and the first act of rebellion began. The dawn broke heavy with mist, veiling the mortal world in a pall of uncertainty. Smoke still curled in the fissures that had torn the earth the night before, their glow fading but not forgotten. Farmers whispered prayers at cracked altars. Fishermen stared in dreaded seas that rose too high and fell too low. And children clung to their mothers as the wind carried an unsettling hum from beneath the soil. The world itself seemed unsettled, restless in ways beyond mortal comprehension. In the village of Theron, Lycaon awoke with a memory of the whisper still carved into his bones. He sat by the riverbank where the ground had split, staring into the quiet water that mirrored his troubled face. The words, though not truly words, echoed through his mind. Rise. Break the chains. He pressed a hand to his chest, as if fearing something foreign lived inside him now. When he closed his eyes, he could almost feel heat radiating from the fissure, as if the world's heart beat beneath his skin. The elders of Theron gathered at the temple, calling for calm. But calm was brittle, and fear spread faster than faith. The gods have abandoned us, one farmer muttered, his hands trembling as he laid broken offerings at Hera's statue. They sit in their high halls, blind to the suffering below. Others nodded in grim agreement. Lycaon listened in silence, but a spark of anger stirred within him. He had seen the fissure with his own eyes, felt the tremor in his blood. This was no abandonment. It was war stirring before its first strike. High above, the council of gods assembled once more in the grand hall of Olympus. Athena stood at the center, her bronze armor gleaming. Her voice steady though the weight of her words pressed heavy against the others. Mortals lose faith with each tremor. If their prayers falter, so too does our strength. We must act with precision. A Titan rebellion cannot be faced with pride alone. Poseidon slammed the boat his trident against the marble, the sound like crashing waves. I agree with the girl. The seas mirror the world's unrest. My creatures grow violent, my tides unpredictable. If the Titans break free, they will not come politely to Olympus's gates. They will drown mortals and gods alike. We must strike now, before the first chain is broken. Hades stood apart, silent, his cloak trailing shadows across the marble. His crimson eyes glimmered faintly before he spoke. You misunderstand. The chains are already breaking. I feel them in Tartarus. The walls strain with every hour. Kronos' whispers creep through the cracks, and his children answer. Strike now? There is no enemy to strike. They are not yet free. To act hastily is to shatter what little binds them still. Zeus rose from his throne, towering above them, his voice as fierce as a storm. Enough! I will not cower before shadows. The Titans are chained, and chained they shall remain. Let the earth tremble, let the seas rage. It changes nothing. I banished them once. I will banish them again if they rise. Hera's voice, calm yet edged with warning, cut through the chamber. Your arrogance blinds you. This is not a storm you can command, Zeus. The Titans are not mortals to kneel beneath your throne. They are your blood. They are older than Olympus. Kronos knows you, knows your pride, and will wield it against you. A silence followed, heavy with the weight of truths unspoken. Athena broke it, her eyes sharp. We must prepare. I will go among the mortals, gather their faith, strengthen their resolve. If the Titans feed on chaos, then let humanity stand as one, bound by loyalty to Olympus. Zeus's gaze softened, though his jaw remained tight. Do what you will, daughter, but know this. The first Titan who dares breach Tartarus shall meet my spear. Their rebellion will be crushed before it begins. Far below, in the mortal realm, the subtle hand of the Titans had already begun its work. Crops rotted in the fields, though no blight touched them. Livestock fled in panic at shadows no man could see. Whispers carried on the wind, twisting into men's dreams. In Theron, Lycaon woke in the night to the sound of voices murmuring outside his hut. He crept out and saw villagers gather at the fissure, their eyes glazed, their mouths moving in unison to words they did not understand. The air vibrated with a dark rhythm, and Lycaon's heart pounded as he felt the same pull inside him. He shouted their names, tried to shake them awake, but they swayed like reeds in a storm. Only when the first light of dawn touched the horizon did the spell break. The villagers collapsed, bewildered and terrified. Lycaon stared at them, realization dawning. The Titans were reaching through the cracks of Tartarus, not yet free, but already sowing seeds of rebellion. That same dawn, far from Theron, Hyperion stirred within his prison of stone and fire. His body glowed faintly, light bleeding through cracks in the rock that bound him. His voice, like the blaze of a dying sun, echoed across the abyss. Father calls. The sky weakens. Soon the chains will fall, and the light of Titans shall scorch the heavens once more. Kronos' laughter rolled through Tartarus like an earthquake, shaking pillars of black stone. Patience, my son. Their pride is their weakness. Already men doubt. Already the gods argue. When the last prayer fades from mortal lips, Olympus will be nothing but ash. Rise slowly. Strike when their guard is broken. Our time comes. In Olympus, Zeus stood once more on the balcony, lightning crackling around him. Yet for the first time in an age, he felt the faintest sting of uncertainty. Below, a mortal boy sat by a riverbank, clutching his bow, unaware that fate had chosen him as more than a hunter. Above and beneath, gods and Titans gathered their strength. The rebellion had not yet broken, but its echoes carried across the earth, and those echoes would soon become thunder. The storm that had lingered for days finally broke over the Aegean Sea, sending waves crashing against cliffs with a fury that shook the land. Mortals huddled in their homes, whispering prayers to Poseidon, but the god of the sea did not hear them. He was already beneath the surface, striding through halls of coral and pearl with the tide itself bent in respect. His trident glowed with restless power, and his eyes burned with the knowledge of war. He could no longer wait. From Olympus to the depths of the earth, tensions had tightened like a bowstring. Athena had descended among mortals, her presence veiled in the guise of a warrior woman, wise and commanding. She sought to rally faith, to remind humanity that their fate and the gods were bound together. But already she saw how fragile devotion was when fear gnawed at the soul. Villagers asked why the gods had let the earth split, why children sickened, why shadows whispered in dreams. Her heart tightened as she realized the Titans' rebellion was not only fought with chains and blades, it was waged first in the hearts of men. Lycaon, too, felt the creeping weight of destiny. In Theron, his nights were restless, filled with visions of fire and stone. He saw colossal figures looming above mountains, their eyes glowing like dying suns. Sometimes he heard Kronos' voice, rumbling through his dreams, promising freedom, power, a world unshackled by gods. Yet in other moments he felt a different presence, a warmth like sunlight that shielded him, urging him to resist. When Athena arrived in the village, cloaked in mortal form, Lycaon felt his blood stir. Though he did not know her name, something within recognized her for what she was. "Do you believe in the gods?" she asked him as they stood by the river, its waters swollen with unnatural tides. Lycaon hesitated, his gaze falling. I did. But the earth shakes, the sky roars, and the people suffer. If the gods are with us, why do they let this happen? Athena's eyes, gray and unyielding, soften for the first time. Because war brews and war spares no one, not even gods. You feel it, don't you? The chains breaking, the whispers calling. You are touched by it. That makes you dangerous to them and vital to us. Before he could respond, the ground trembled violently. Trees bent as if struck by a giant hand, and from a forest edge emerged shapes taller than any man. Their skin gray and cracked like stone, their eyes burning faintly gold. They were not the Titans themselves, but their forerunners. Creatures forged from fragments of their essence, emissaries of rebellion. The villagers screamed and scattered. Lycaon instinctively raised his bow, though fear froze his limbs. Athena's voice rang out sharp as a blade. Stand firm. They are but shadows of what is to come. The clash erupted with fury. Athena's spear shone as she met the first of the stone-forged creatures, her movements precise, every strike guided by centuries of battle. Yet for each foe she felled. Two more emerged from the fissures, their bodies glowing faintly with the fire of Tartarus. Lycaon loosed arrows into the night, each strike slowing the advance, though the creatures seemed barely hindered. When one lunged toward him, mauled wide with jagged stone teeth, his dagger met its throat, and to his astonishment the thing crumbled to ash. Good. Athena shouted over the roar of battle. The spark within you is awake. Do not deny it, use it. High above, Zeus watched the scene unfold through the storm clouds, lightning reflecting in his eyes. Rage surged through him as he saw the emissaries of Kronos breach the mortal world. He raised a spear and hurled a bolt of thunder that split the night. A single stroke shattered half the battlefield, sending creatures shrieking back into the fissures. Yet the land groaned beneath the strike, rivers overflowing, mountains quaking. Mortals fell to their knees in terror, unsure whether the gods' intervention was salvation or another curse. In the underworld, Hades felt the ripple of Zeus's power and scowled. Fool! Each strike cracks the prison further. He tightened his grip on his obsidian staff, hearing once more the whispers rising from Tartarus. Kronos laughed, mocking, savoring the gods' impatience. Poseidon emerged from the sea to join the fray, waves rising with him like monstrous serpents. His trident pierced the earth, flooding the battlefield with torrents that swept the stone-forged creatures away. But the mortals screamed as their homes drowned with the monsters, their faith trembling further. Poseidon paid them little heed. His eyes only sought the shadows beyond the fissures, daring a true titan to rise. In that moment, Kronos' voice boomed faintly through the crack, deep and resonant. Look upon them, my children. They wage war not to protect, but to prove their might. Mortals suffer as gods and titans alike seek dominion. Who shall you trust? The proud tyrants of Olympus, or the promise of freedom I bring? The villagers, soaked and trembling, stared at Athena, at Poseidon, at Zeus's lightning flashing above. Doubt spread like fire in dry grass. Lycaon felt the words clawing his mind, tempting him with their gravity. Yet when he looked at Athena, her face fierce yet unwavering, he felt the warmth return. He lifted his dagger again, planting his feet. I will not bow to fear, he whispered, more to himself than to any god or titan. The battle raged until dawn, when the fissures sealed themselves with a thunderous crack. The stone-forged creatures crumbled to dust, their echoes fading into the earth. Silence returned, broken only by the sobs of villagers mourning lost homes and kin. Athena stood amid the ruin, her armor dented, her eyes weary. She turned to Lycaon, studying him with the weight of prophecy. You fought when others fled. You resisted when even gods faltered. Remember this moment, Lycaon. The war has only begun, and you will walk it hard. He stared at her, uncertain, fear mingling with reluctant resolve. Above, Zeus returned to his throne, his face dark. The rebellion was no longer a whisper. It had begun in earnest, and already faith cracked like stone beneath a hammer. In Tartarus, Kronos' laughter rolled like thunder, louder now, closer. The Titans were rising, and the world would burn. Olympus was no longer at peace. The gleaming halls that once rang with the songs of immortality now echoed with arguments, voices raised in fury as gods turned against one another. Athena stood tall among them, her armor still bearing the dents of battle, her face grim with the weight of what she had seen. "Mortals suffer," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. "They question our protection because they see only ruin. If we are to defeat the Titans, we must stand united. And yet what do they see? Pride, recklessness, and discord." Poseidon's hand clenched around his trident, his sea blue cloak dripping as if the ocean itself clung to him. "Do not speak of discord to me, child. While you coddle mortals with speeches, I wielded the sea to crush the Titans' brood. I drowned their emissaries before they could spread further. What did your words achieve?" Athena's eyes flared with silver light. "You drowned homes as well as enemies. Faith cannot survive when gods are the cause of devastation." Zeus slammed his spear upon the marble floor, thunder cracking through the chamber. "Enough! You squabble like children while Kronos laughs in his cage. The Titans rise, and you bicker over mortal scraps." From the shadows, Hades' voice emerged, cold and even, "And yet it is mortals who will determine this war. You are too blind to see it. Already Kronos whispers in their dreams. Already they turn from you. The chains of Tartarus weaken not by strength, but by their faltering faith." Hera, regal and composed, rose from her throne. Her golden crown gleamed though her eyes were storm dark. "Then, perhaps mortals are not worth protecting. Perhaps the age of men has run its course. Why should gods bleed for those who curse our names?" The chamber erupted once more, voices clashing like steel upon steel. Some gods sided with Hera, weary of human frailty. Others followed Athena, who argued that mortals were the last line against the chaos of Titans. The unity that had once bound Olympus cracked, and through those fractures the first true despair seeped in. Far below, in the mortal world, Lycaon walked through ruins. His village of Theron was broken, homes splintered by storms, crops drowned by Poseidon's waves, loved ones buried in the rubble. Survivors clung to life, their faces hollow with grief. Some cursed the gods openly, while others whispered prayers in desperation, unsure if anyone listened. Lycaon carried his bow across his back and the dagger at his side, though he felt neither made him strong enough for what lay ahead. He remembered Athena's words, "You will walk at the heart of this war." Yet he was only a hunter, one man among thousands, powerless against gods and Titans. One night, as he sat by the embers of a dying fire, the ground trembled beneath him. From a fissure outside the village, a shape rose, tall, radiant, and terrible. Hyperion, the Titan of light, emerged in his fractured form. His skin glowed with molten gold. His hair burned like fire. Mortals screamed and fled as his brilliance scorched the air. Lycaon fell to his knees, blinded by the light. Hyperion's voice thundered, not only in the air but within every heart. "Children of men, why do you bow to tyrants who drown your fields, who strike your homes with lightning? You suffer beneath Olympus, not because of us, but because of them. I bring you freedom. I bring you fire unbound. Stand with us, and no god shall chain you again." The villagers, desperate and broken, hesitated. Some raised their arms in surrender, hope sparking in their hollow eyes. Lycaon forced himself to his feet, his vision blurred by the radiance. "You promised freedom," he shouted, though his voice shook. "But you are the fire that will burn us all." Hyperion's golden gaze fell upon him. "And yet you shine, boy. I feel Kronos' touch in your blood. You are chosen, whether you know it or not. Deny me if you wish, but you will not escape what you are." With that, he vanished in a flare of light, leaving scorched earth and trembling mortals in his wake. When word reached Olympus of Hyperion's emergence, the council fractured further. Some gods trembled with rage, demanding vengeance. Others saw mortal submission as betrayal, proof that humanity could not be trusted. Zeus, torn between wrath and despair, struck lightning across the horizon, vowing to bring war upon the Titans at any cost. But in their fury, the gods failed to see what truly broke that night. For the first time since their victory ages ago, a Titan had set foot upon the mortal world, his voice heard, his promise made. Humanity itself was divided. some clinging to Olympus, others seduced by the fire of rebellion. The balance that held the cosmos together now teetered, fragile as glass. In Tartarus, chains snapped one by one, sparks of fire raining in the darkness. Kronos rose higher, his colossal form stretching against the last bonds. His laughter rumbled through the abyss, shaking every corner of creation. See how they crumble. See how they turn upon each other. Soon, my children, the heavens shall fall, and the earth shall be ours again. On Olympus, Athena withdrew to her chamber, her heart heavy. She thought of Lycaon, the mortal who had stood against Hyperion's brilliance. There was something in him the Titans feared, and something the gods could not yet name. She whispered a prayer, not to her father, not to Olympus, but to the thread of fate itself. Do not abandon him, for if he falls, so too shall we all. And across the night sky, stars dimmed as if retreating from what was to come. The pantheon was shattered, the world divided, and the Titans' war was no longer a threat. It was inevitable. The world shuddered, as if it could no longer bear the weight of gods and Titans alike. Volcanoes erupted where mountains once slept, seas swallowed whole coasts, and storms raged with ceaseless fury. Mortals scattered like leaves before the wind, praying, cursing, or kneeling in surrender. The sky itself seemed to fracture, the heavens bruised with crimson clouds that glowed from the fires beneath the earth. From Olympus, Zeus looked upon the chaos with a heart hardened by fury. His throne felt heavier than ever, no longer a seat of triumph, but a burden he could not set down. This ends now, he roared, lightning spilling from his voice. If the Titans wish for war, then war shall consume them. His words thundered across the hall, shaking marble pillars and silencing those who still dared argue. Athena stood near the center, her gray eyes shadowed with concern. War is already here. But if we fight as we are, fractured, blinded by pride, we will lose. Kronos knows this. He waits not only for his chains to fall, but for us to destroy ourselves. Poseidon bared his teeth. Better to drown the world in the sea than bow to Titans again. Hades' voice drifted from shadows. And when the seas have swallowed all, who shall remember your victory, brother? Empty thrones, empty temples. Are these what you seek? Zeus silenced them with a gesture, lightning dancing across his palm. Enough. Let them rise. I will show them the might of Olympus. We are gods, not cowards. But Hera, her crown gleaming cold, spoke words that cut deeper than thunder. And what immortals! They fall between our storms and our wars. Already they look to Titans for salvation. Do you not see? We are not their protectors in their eyes, but tyrants. If you do not change, Zeus, then even victory will leave us with nothing to rule. The words hung heavy, but Zeus turned away, unwilling to answer. Pride chained him as surely as Tartarus chained Kronos. Far below, Lycaon stood on a battlefield that had once been fertile plains. Now the earth was split into rivers of fire, shadows crawling from every crevice. Around him, warriors from neighboring villages gathered, clutching spears and shields though their eyes betrayed despair. They had no chance against gods or Titans, yet Athena had come to them, guiding their courage. Her presence was a flame in the dark, her voice a command that stirred even broken hearts. Do not see yourselves as pawns, she told them, her voice ringing clear over the growl of the earth. Mortals shape the threads of fate as much as any god. Stand and fight not for Olympus, not for Titans, but for your world. Lycaon gripped his bow tighter. He felt a strange warmth within him again, the spark Athena had spoken of. It pulsed stronger now, each beat of his heart echoing like a drum of war. When he looked at the horizon, he no longer saw only gods and Titans. He saw a battle where his place, however small, could alter everything. The first wave of chaos struck as Hyperion descended, his body blazing like the sun at its zenith. Light seared the earth, turning stone to glass. Mortal warriors shielded their eyes, but still they marched, their cries of defiance rising above their fear. Athena met Hyperion's advance with her shining spear, their clash illuminating the night brighter than day. Sparks flew, scorching the air. From the sea, Poseidon rose with waves that tower like mountains, striking down lesser Titan-forged creatures with floods of crushing force. From the underworld, Hades unleashed rivers of shadow that coiled like serpents, swallowing the light of Hyperion's kin. Yet even united, the gods strained, their power clashing not only against titans, but against the weariness of a world breaking under their weight. Zeus himself entered the fray, his lightning cleaving the sky. When his spear struck the earth, mountains split and titans reeled, their colossal bodies burning beneath the storm. Yet each strike tore open Tartarus further, each bolt feeding the cracks from which Kronos strained to rise. Above it all, Kronos' voice thundered like an avalanche. Strike, children of the sky, tear the world apart, and you shall free me. With every blow, my chains weaken. His laughter spread through gods and mortals alike, a sound that curdled blood and shattered courage. Lycaon felt it too, the weight of inevitability pressing down on him. Yet as he fought among mortals, striking down stone-forged creatures with bow and blade, he realized something strange. The warmth within him repelled the whispers, shielding his mind where others faltered. When Kronos' voice reached into him, it met not submission but resistance, as though some ancient force lay buried in his blood. Athena noticed it as well. Between strikes, she watched him, her mind racing. He resists what even gods struggle to endure. Fate, what have you done? The battle raged for days. Rivers boiled, forests burned. The sky bled red. Gods clashed with titans in storms that sundered mountains, while mortals bled upon the ground beneath them. Faith crumbled and rebuilt with each passing hour. Some humans cried to Kronos for freedom, others to Zeus for protection, but most prayed only to survive. On the third night, the earth split wider than ever before. Chains shattered in the depths of Tartarus, their echoes shaking every corner of existence. A colossal hand, gray and scarred, broke through the fissure, clawing at the sky. Kronos himself was rising. Zeus hurled thunder at the hand, lightning burning across his flesh. Poseidon struck with torrents, Athena with steel, Hades with shadow. But still the hand climbed higher, dragging with it the body of the ancient tyrant, taller than mountains, crowned with dust and fire. His golden eyes opened, and the world trembled. "Children," Kronos thundered, his voice deeper than creation itself. "Your reign ends. The age of titans begins anew." Mortals screamed, gods faltered, and even the stars seemed to dim. Lycaon stood among the chaos, his dagger trembling in his grip, his chest burning with a strange spark that refused to die. For the first time, he understood the truth. He was not chosen to be a witness. He was chosen to decide. The war of eternity had begun. The world groaned under the weight of Kronos' return. His colossal form towered above mountains, each movement of his body shaking the earth like a living earthquake. His eyes glowed with molten gold, burning into the hearts of gods and mortals alike. The sky cracked with his laughter, stars trembling as though they might fall from their places in the firmament. Zeus hurled bolts of lightning, each strike bright enough to blind armies, but they struck Kronos' vast frame like sparks against stone. Poseidon summoned tidal waves that swallowed valleys, only for the Titan to wade through them as though walking through shallow streams. Hades unleashed rivers of shadow, his obsidian staff pulsing with ancient curses. But even darkness bent before the weight of the father Titans. Athena fought with precision, her spear finding joints in Kronos' stone-like skin. Yet even her sharpest strikes only slowed him. The gods, once eternal victors, looked small before their ancient sire, their unity fragile and their strength faltering. Mortals fled in terror, their cries lost amid the thunder of the battle. In the midst of the chaos, Lycaon stood. His body trembled. His dagger felt weightless, yet within his chest a spark blazed brighter than ever. Kronos' gaze fell upon him, and the Titan's voice shook his soul. "There you are, the vessel of fate. You bear my blood, though you know it not. You are mine, child of rebellion. Surrender to me, and together we shall burn Olympus and free mankind from its chains." Lycaon staggered as visions poured into his mind. Himself crowned in fire, mortals bowing at his feet, gods broken beneath his blade. For an instant, the temptation burned sweet, the promise of power whispering louder than reason. But then he saw Athena's face, scarred yet unyielding in the terrified eyes of his people. He clenched his dagger and shouted, his voice breaking through Kronos' roar. "I am no vessel for you. I am no pawn of gods or titans. I am human, and this world is ours. The spark within him erupted, blazing into light that poured from his skin. Athena gasped as she recognized it. Not divine power, not titan wrath, but something older, the essence of Gaia herself, woven into the boy's bloodline, a fragment of creation untouched by Olympus or Tartarus. Kronos staggered as the light seared across his chest. Impossible! Gaia betrayed me. His bellow rattled the skies, fury and disbelief twisting his massive form. Gaia's voice, deep and sorrowful, rose from the earth itself. I am mother to all, titan and god, mortal and immortal. You sought dominion, Kronos, but you forgot balance. Through Lycaon, balance shall return. The ground split, vines as thick as towers erupting to coil around Kronos' legs. The titan roared and tore at them, but they regrew faster, binding him even as he struggled. Zeus seized a chance, his spear blazing with every ounce of storm left in him. Now, boy, he cried, strike with us. Lycaon lifted his dagger, the small blade glowing with the essence that flowed through him. For a moment, he felt the weight of eternity pressing down. Gods, titans, mortals, all watching, all depending on his choice. He ran forward, his body aflame with Gaia's power, and leapt. With a cry that shook the battlefield, he plunged the dagger into Kronos' chest, right where Athena's strikes had weakened the stone. The world exploded with light. Kronos' roar tore mountains apart. His body splitting as cracks of golden fire raced across his form. He reached for the boy, for the gods, for the sky itself, but the vines of Gaia tightened, dragging him down into the abyss. His crown shattered, his luster dimmed, and at last his colossal body crumbled, falling back into Tartarus with an echo that would haunt eternity. Silence followed. The air was heavy with smoke, the earth scarred and broken. The gods stood trembling, their armor shattered, their faces pale with exhaustion. Zeus lowered his spear, his hand shaking as he looked upon Lycaon. The boy collapsed unconscious, the dagger still glowing faintly in his hand. Athena rushed to his side, cradling him gently. She looked up at Zeus, her eyes fierce. He saved us. Not your lightning, not Poseidon's floods, not Hades' shadows. Immortals saved us. For once, Zeus did not answer with thunder. His gaze softened, a flicker of humility breaking through his pride. Perhaps we have forgotten why we fought in the first place. Poseidon scowled, but even he could not deny the truth. Hera turned away, her lips pressed tight, but her silence spoke volumes. The gods had been shaken, not only by the battle, but by the realization that their reign was no longer unchallenged. Days passed, and the fires of war dimmed. Mortals emerged from ruins, their prayers cautious, their faith fractured but not gone. Temples still stood, but now they were built with hesitation, not blind devotion. The memory of the Titans' promises lingered, and so too did the knowledge that gods were not invincible. Lycaon awoke beneath the shade of an ancient tree. Athena sat beside him, her armor gone, her form softened into something more human. You bear Gaia's gift, she told him quietly, a fragment of creation itself. Neither titan nor god, but something greater, balance. That is why Kronos sought you. That is why you could resist him. Lycaon shook his head, weary. I am no god. I am just a man. Athena smiled faintly. And that is what makes you greater. Gods and titans seek dominion, but men seek to endure. And in enduring, they shape destiny. He looked across the broken land, where mortals rebuild homes with trembling hands, where gods watch from afar no longer as distant rulers, but uneasy guardians. The world was scarred, yet alive. Then I will endure, he said softly. Above them, the sky cleared. The storm faded, and dawn rose golden over the ruins. A new age had begun, not of gods, not titans, but a fragile hope born from ruin. The cycle of rebellion was not ended, but for now, the world breathed again.